It's definitely a different landscape, but at the same time, I feel like it should be relatively normal to stay at the school that you ended up committing to. I feel like that's the way it should be.
Well, let's start here with the Big East tournament. You got that coming up this week. Obviously, you want to win this thing every year, but how bad do you want to win it, especially after kind of letting the regular season title slip away?
Yeah, it's definitely a different level of hunger to this one, especially just how the season ended, but also really just because of all the work we've put in just going into this season and just the work that we know that we're so much further ahead of where we started, but at the same time, like it's more of just like all the work that the coaching staff has just poured into us. We've been working since May and June. So and a lot of people have been working since September. So I mean just leaning on that work that we've been putting in and trusting each other in the locker room, and that's what's gonna happen if we gonna win the Big East conference tournament.
There's a good chance you might end up playing Marquette again. Is this a situation where you're rooting for that scenario? Do you want that rematch?
Yeah, it's actually something coach talked about yesterday in the film room. We were watching the game, and he's just like the way this rodeo works. Like, I mean, we're probably gonna have to play him again going into the Big East tournament. So, I mean, we got to be ready for that. Be able to move on from the loss, but also just improve on the stuff that we messed up on.
And how do you balance those emotions, trying not to get too high or too low, knowing you want to win this thing, but also no matter what, the big dance is coming up after that?
Yeah, I think you just take it as a one game approach. When you take it as a one game approach, everything is a lot easier, and you don't got to focus too much on like basically what you said, not getting too high, not getting too low. I think when you focus one game at a time, it makes it easier to just stay locked in at one thing at a time and not lose your focus.
And I mean, this is your third year at UConn, your national champion. But I want to focus on that for a second. 3 years at one school, you're kind of like a unicorn in today's college basketball scene. When you look around and see, all the different faces in different places, do you feel that way? Do you kind of feel like you're different than everyone else?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a different landscape, but at the same time, I feel like it should be relatively normal to stay at the school that you ended up committing to. I feel like that's the way it should be. But I mean, of course, not everyone's story is the same. But I couldn't imagine myself being in any other uniform. So I mean, this is the only mascot I could see myself like on my chest or anything like that. So I mean, to go anywhere else or just to feel like I have to do anything or go to any other team, I feel like I would just be scrapping and starting from square one again. Like it just wouldn't make sense.
Are you able to describe those forces at play though? Like obviously you didn't move, but I'm sure you had the opportunity to. You had to wait your turn to kind of, step up and be a leader for this team. What are those forces at play that kind of maybe lead players to go to different places and really leave the place they committed to?
Yeah, I think well in today's age, I think a part of it is just like NIL. A lot of those people just leave for money, but I mean that's not something I'm really focused on as much. I'm just focused on the basketball side of things and just focused on getting better as a player.
Going back to UConn and just sticking around there, you're not even the most tenured player there. You still have players like Alex Caravan around. What is it about the program that Dan Hurley has built that makes players want to stick around?
I think it's just the culture that has just been brought up since coaches got here, and even what Coach Calhoun had before. I mean, just continue that culture and continue to build it, continue to make it grow. And I mean, where else to put it than the basketball capital of the world?
I gotta admit, I'm kind of surprised you know about Coach Calhoun just because of how young you are. Is that something that Dan Hurley talks about a lot? Just the history of the program. How is it that you're so informed on that?
Absolutely, and Calhoun has actually been around too, so he's definitely been around for some of our practices, some of our workouts over the past 3 years since I've been here. So I mean, he's always been around, just giving his knowledge when he needs to give his knowledge. He's just a great dude, and coach always just makes sure that we pay our dues, pay our respects, but also just respect the history of the school.
Coach Hurley gets a lot of attention for some of his antics, or I should say, the fire that he coaches with on the sideline. even this past game. How was that received by the team? Is he like that in practice, by the way, or is that just something we see during games?
Oh yeah, that he's like that all the time. That's just how much he cares about basketball, and that's something that we all want to play for. Like that's just something that motivates us every day, just to play for a coach, play for a coach's staff that just wants it that bad as well.
When he goes viral for some of these things, do you guys give him a hard time for it? Is that something you joke about?
To be honest, I don't really be paying attention to it too much. Like I won't see it anything online until like 3 days later. But yeah, I don't really pay attention to it that much. But sometimes it'll be brought up in the practice locker room, but it'll die down after like a day or two.
Is that your general approach during the season? Do you try to stay off of the internet, or like how locked in are you into some of the chatter that goes on around the team?
Yeah, I definitely tune out the noise. There's definitely some comments that people could say that could get to people's heads. I don't pay attention to any of that. Kind of just go about the season, just focus on basketball, just one game at a time.
We talked about winning a national championship your freshman year. That kind of sets a standard there right away. Last year, you guys go into the tournament as an 8 seed. You knock off Oklahoma in the first round. Then you lose a tight one to the national champs, to Florida. What did you learn from that experience that can help you this year?
Yeah, I think from that experience, what we learned was just defense was our Achilles heel uh, that whole season, and that was one of our best defensive games. And I think the biggest thing we learned was just like to have that intensity the whole time and carry it in through March Madness. So like that's been a big thing for us this year. Like our defense has been very strong, top 10, top 5 at some points. And our defense has been strong the whole year. And we've really leaned on our defense and rebounded to get us through games, to get us wins. So I feel like that's what's really helped us, and that's what we've really learned.
And we can see that on the floor. This year's team looks a little better than last year's. You actually just one game off the pace from 2024. How are these teams similar and different? How would you compare this team to the 2024 team?
Yeah, I think this team is different because I feel like I will actually I just feel like the depth is just what makes this team so different. Like I feel like you go to the bench, there's not much of a drop off, and that's what just makes us so talented as a team and as a group. But I think also just how connected we are off the court just helps as well. So I mean, I'm super excited going into Big East tournament in March as well. So it's gonna be really exciting.
Talk about that a little bit. You say how connected you guys are off the court. How often do you guys hang out as a team and just kind of, do team activities together?
Yeah, I mean, we're always around each other. We're literally always around each other. Practice, off the court, whether we're traveling, we're always around, spending time with one another, always around each other. Even in the locker room, like we'll have conversations after film, stuff like that. It's something that we had to start doing, and kind of made it a priority. So I mean, going into March, going into the Big East tournament, we know it's going to be important to stick together and move as one. So we just got to make sure we do that.
And I asked you how those two teams were different. How are you different as a player? What do you feel like? Where do you feel like you've grown the most since your freshman year?
I feel like I've just become more all around. I think before I was just a lot straight shooting, coming off screens, and now I feel like I've evolved my game a little bit more playmaking, a little bit more in the mid range, a little bit more finishing, but also improving my defense as well. So I think I could just continue to improve in those areas as well, and also just continue to improve other areas of my game.
I'm glad you brought up, some of your strengths and weaknesses because this is actually something I asked ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT for a scouting report on you. It said your strengths are elite shooting, movement without the ball, athletic upside as a scorer, and your weaknesses are defensive consistency, strength as a finisher, and playmaking. What did it get right? What did it get wrong?
Mm. I think the defensive consistency is something I got to work on. Just making sure I'm like in my stance the whole time throughout every possession, and just being locked in throughout the whole possession, off the ball, on the ball regardless. I feel like I'm locked in, but off the ball, sometimes I lose my focus. So that's probably one thing I got to get better at for sure still, and I'm still watching film for that. But playmaking definitely gotten better, and athletic upside is definitely true. I'm definitely athletic, so
All right, that was my last question, Solo. Appreciate the time
Cool.
and good luck. Good luck the rest of the season.
I appreciate you for having me on. Thank you.